See me.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets. The whole world is under attack. Can it survive?
Hi, I'm Clyde Lewis, and welcome once again to Ground Zero Behind the Scenes. It's like Christmas around here because we're busily preparing for the big event that's happening on May 18th and 19th. That's Friday and Saturday. We're going to be out in McMinnville for the 13th annual McMinnville UFO Festival. Now, a lot of people come to this, and it's all because of a photo that was shot back in the 1950s by Paul and Evelyn Trent. They were two farmers who lived near Dayton, Oregon, and what happened is that they shot a picture of a flying saucer above their house. In fact, Evelyn was out there feeding the rabbits, and she came running in and telling, Paul, hey Paul, come out with your camera and shoot this picture, an old Browning picture of a flying disc above the house. Now, the thing about this photo is that it's amazing because it's not been proven a hoax. In fact, a lot of people say there was no motive for them to commit a hoax, and both Paul and Evelyn, they both died in the 90s, but they never really made any money off the photo. The photo was very controversial because some people thought it was being hoaxed, but there was nothing to gain from it. They also had the negatives that were actually there was some sort of a barbecue they shot pictures at, and then the pictures, and then there was a wedding or something, some sort of a party they shot pictures at. So there were no control shots where people were maybe throwing pie plates or anything else out there. So it just seems to me that this photo is one of the best ones. But one thing you need to keep in mind is we live in times now where people are cynical about UFOs, and they're kind of thinking, come on, it's got to be a hoax or it's got to be fake. Back then, in the 1950s, actually from the 1940s, about 48 to 1950, a 10-year period where we were completely enveloped in the UFO phenomena. As a matter of fact, flying saucers were part of the meme, they were part of the zeitgeist. Rock and roll songs were about flying saucers and alien beings. Movies were about flying saucers and alien beings. Now we have it everywhere, but it wasn't until like the 1960s it all kind of came to a screeching halt. Things were quiet for a while, and then after the TV show The Invaders, The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, we started to once again think about outer space, and of course with Star Trek, and then the moon landing, alleged moon landing, and everything else, we seem to get back into that idea of outer space. But it seems today we are completely proliferated with UFO phenomena, movies, and things of that nature. But a lot of people now are kind of skeptical, a little cynical, a little back-offish. But back in the 1950s, there was such an endearing quality to the flying saucers. Even cars had fins on the back of them to look like spacecraft. So it seemed to be one of those things where people were thinking and were being set up to think that there was something going on out in space, whether it be Martians, aliens, or even rock and roll aliens. And tonight on the show we're going to be talking about that very thing. What was it like in the 1950s, around the time that Paul and Evelyn Trent shot that picture that was in Time magazine? It was in several newspapers across the country. It literally kicked off the craze in flying saucers in the 1950s. So be sure to tune in tonight. Be sure to join us in McMinnville, Oregon. That'll be May 18th and 19th. I'm doing a live remote there from 9 to midnight at the Hotel Oregon. And then I will be back again for the parade to say hello to the people that have a booth there. It's called the Friends of Ground Zero, and we'll be doing some great stuff there as well. So be tuning in tonight. We'll have several guests coming up. There'll be all kinds of great, well-known UFO or ufologist guests that will be on the program. We're talking with a number of people to come on. It's a really, really great time for UFOs in Portland and the entire country. So be sure to tune in tonight right here. This is Ground Zero Behind the Scenes.
Since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources. Of this great mass of reports, we have been able adequately to explain the great bulk of them, explain them to our own satisfaction. We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, as erroneously identified friendly aircraft, as meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations. However, there have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things. It is this group of observations that we now are attempting to resolve. We have, as of date, come to only one firm conclusion with respect to this remaining percentage, and that is that it does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate with to any conceivable threat to the United States.